My cousin publicly humiliated my autistic son in front of dozens. So we left and she called CPS and tried to have my son taken away, not realizing just how fast the tables can turn. My son Liam is 9 years old and has autism. He's high functioning, verbal, and absolutely brilliant with numbers and patterns, but he struggles with loud noises and unexpected changes to his routine. My cousin Jessica knows this. I've explained it to her at least a dozen times over the years. But at her daughter's birthday party last Saturday, she decided that didn't matter anymore. The party was at a restaurant with an arcade section. Loud music, flashing lights, kids screaming and running everywhere. Exactly the kind of environment that overwhelms Liam. I'd asked Jessica beforehand if there would be a quiet space where Liam could take breaks if he needed to. She'd said yes, that there was a small side room we could use. That turned out to be a lie. When we arrived, the party was already in full swing. 50 kids packed into a space meant for maybe 30. The noise level was insane. Liam lasted about 20 minutes before I noticed him starting to shut down. His hands were over his ears and he was rocking slightly. Classic signs that he was getting overloaded. I took his hand and tried to lead him toward the exit so we could step outside for a few minutes. That's when Jessica intercepted us in front of everyone. "Where are you going?" The party just started. I explained quietly that Liam needed a break from the noise. Jessica's expression changed. She crossed her arms and said loud enough that people nearby turned to look. "He needs to learn to handle normal situations. You can't coddle him forever." I felt my jaw clench. He's not being coddled. He has sensory processing issues. This isn't about discipline. It's about his neurological makeup. Jessica rolled her eyes dramatically. "That's just an excuse for bad parenting. My kids behave at parties because I actually parent them instead of making excuses for every little tantrum." The nearby conversations had stopped. People were watching us now. Liam's hands were pressed hard against his ears and he was making a small humming noise, trying to self-regulate. Jessica pointed at him and said, "See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He's 9 years old acting like a toddler because you let him. Kids would never be allowed to act like that in public." I kept my voice steady even though I wanted to scream. "Liam is autistic. This isn't behavior, it's a medical condition, and we're leaving now." But Jessica wasn't done. She raised her voice so the whole room could hear. "Maybe if you spent less time making excuses and more time actually disciplining him, he wouldn't be so weird all the time. It's embarrassing watching you baby him." That's when her husband Mark jumped in. "Jessica, that's enough. Let them go." But Jessica had an audience now, and she was performing. "I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking. That kid needs real help, not a mother who enables his problems." Several parents were nodding along with her. Others looked uncomfortable, but nobody spoke up. I took Liam's hand and walked out. He was crying silently now, overwhelmed by the confrontation on top of the sensory overload. We sat in the car for 30 minutes while he calmed down. I felt like the worst mother in the world for putting him in that situation. Monday morning, I got a call from Child Protective Services. Someone had filed a report claiming I was medically neglecting my son by refusing to seek proper treatment for his behavioral problems. The caseworker read back the complaint almost word for word from what Jessica had said at the party. She asked if she could do a home visit to assess Liam's living conditions and verify he was receiving appropriate care. I was stunned. Jessica had actually called CPS on me for having an autistic child. The home visit was scheduled for Wednesday. I spent 2 days gathering documentation, Liam's diagnosis, paperwork from his neurologist, reports from his occupational therapist and speech therapist, his IEP from school showing he was in appropriate special education services, letters from his doctors confirming he received excellent care. The caseworker arrived and spent 2 hours examining our home, interviewing Liam, reviewing all my documentation. She spoke to Liam's therapist on the phone. She even called his school to verify his attendance and progress. At the end of the visit, she closed her folder and sighed. "Mrs. Patterson, your son is clearly very well cared for. He's receiving appropriate services, his medical needs are being met, and your home is safe and loving." This report never should have been filed. I asked if she could tell me who made the complaint. She said it was anonymous, but given the specific details about the party, it was obvious. Then she said something that changed everything. "Actually, Mrs. Patterson, I'm not supposed to share this information, but I feel you should know. This isn't the first false report this particular individual has filed." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. "What do you mean?" The caseworker, her name was Diane, glanced down at her notes. "The person who filed this report has a history with our department. She's previously made similar allegations against 3 other families, all of which were determined to be unfounded after investigation." My mouth fell open. 3 other families? Are you serious? Diane nodded grimly. "Unfortunately, yes, all with similar claims of medical neglect or endangerment that were proven false. We take every report seriously, but we also track patterns of reporting." She lowered her voice. "Between you and me, filing false reports is actually a criminal offense. It wastes valuable resources that should go to children who are genuinely at risk. Our department is considering referring this case to the district attorney's office for potential charges." I sank into the couch, my legs suddenly weak. I had no idea Jessica was doing this to other people. "I didn't confirm who made the report," Diane said carefully, "but her expression told me everything. But whoever it was clearly has a pattern of weaponizing our department against parents they disagree with." After Diane left, I sat in stunned silence for nearly 20 minutes. Liam was in his room, still shaken from the CPS visit despite Diane's kindness. Even though she'd been gentle with him, having a stranger question him about his home life had been deeply unsettling. My phone buzzed with a text from my friend Melissa, who'd been at the party. Asterisk, "I'm so sorry I didn't stand up for you and Liam on Saturday. Jessica was completely out of line and I should have said something. Is everything okay? Asterisk." 2 more similar messages came in from other parents who'd witnessed the scene. It seemed everyone had been uncomfortable with Jessica's behavior, but too shocked to intervene. I took a deep breath and did something I never thought I'd do. I called Mark, Jessica's husband. He answered on the second ring. "I've been expecting your call," he said, his voice weary. "I heard about the CPS visit." "How did you know about that?" I asked. "Because Jessica has done this before," he said quietly. "She told me she called them on you right after you left the party. I tried to talk her out of it, but..." He trailed off. "Mark, what's going on with her?" The caseworker told me this isn't the first time. There was a long pause. "Jessica has always been controlling," he finally said. "She has very specific ideas about how children should behave, and when someone parents differently than she does, she takes it as a personal attack." But calling CPS? That's beyond controlling, that's vindictive. He finished for me. I know, and I'm ashamed I haven't done more to stop it. His voice dropped even lower. The truth is, she's jealous of you specifically, the way Liam responds to you, how patient you are with him. She struggles with our kids and can't stand seeing you manage Liam's autism so well. And I was speechless. All these years, I'd thought Jessica's comments about my parenting were just thoughtless remarks. I never imagined they came from a place of such deep resentment. I'm consulting a lawyer tomorrow, I told him. The caseworker said filing false reports is a criminal offense. I understand, Mark said. And honestly, maybe this is what needs to happen. She needs to face consequences before she does this to someone else. That evening, as I was helping Liam with his bedtime routine, and my phone kept lighting up with notifications, Jessica was apparently calling every family member, spinning her own version of events. According to my sister, Jessica was claiming I'd threatened her at the party and that Liam was dangerously out of control. Liam noticed my distraction and placed his small hand on mine. Mom, is the lady who asked questions coming back? My heart broke at the worry in his voice. No, sweetheart, she knows what a wonderful boy you are and how much I love you. Jessica doesn't think I'm wonderful, he said quietly, proving he'd understood far more of her cruel words than I'd hoped. Jessica is wrong, I told him firmly, pulling him into a hug, and she's not going to bother us anymore, I promise. As I tucked him in, I knew that was a promise I intended to keep, no matter what it took. I'm standing at my kitchen window, watching Jessica pound on our front door for the 5th time in as many minutes. Her face is contorted with rage as she screams through the door loud enough that I can hear her from across the house. I know you're in there. You can't hide from me. Open this door right now. Liam is huddled in the corner of the couch, hands over his ears, rocking slightly. It's been 3 days since the CPS visit, and he's still not recovered from that trauma. Now this. She's going to break the door, he whispers, his voice trembling. No, she's not, I assure him, though I'm not entirely convinced. I've already called the police, but they said it would be at least 15 minutes before an officer could arrive. I pull out my phone and start recording Jessica's tirade through the window. Evidence. That's what my lawyer told me to collect. Document everything. Jessica spots me through the window and her eyes narrow. You think you're so perfect with your special needs, kid? You're not fooling anyone. I know what you're really like. She storms over to the window, her face inches from the glass. You turned Mark against me. You turned CPS against me. You're manipulating everyone. I keep recording as I step back from the window. My hands are shaking so badly, I almost drop the phone. Mom, Liam calls from the living room. Is she going to come inside? No, buddy, the doors are locked. She can't get in. Jessica moves back to the front door and starts kicking it now, each thud making Liam flinch. You're abusing that boy. Everyone knows it. You're just hiding behind his diagnosis. I hear sirens in the distance and feel a wave of relief wash over me. Jessica hears them too. She stops kicking and glances toward the street, but instead of leaving, she pulls out her phone and starts filming our house. This is where child abuse happens, she narrates loudly. My cousin keeps her autistic son locked up in here and refuses to get him proper help. I'm being silenced for trying to save him. The police car pulls up just as Jessica is getting into the full swing of her performance. 2 officers approach her cautiously, asking her to step away from our property. I can't hear what she's saying to them, but she's gesturing wildly toward our house. One officer comes to the door while his partner keeps Jessica at a distance. I let him in, still recording everything on my phone. Ma'am, can you explain what's happening here? The officer asks. I show him the video I've been recording and explain about the CPS report, the party incident, everything. Liam stays on the couch, watching with wide eyes. She's been harassing us since the CPS investigation cleared us. I tell him, this is the first time she's shown up at our house, but she's been calling family members spreading lies about us. The officer takes notes and asks if I want to press charges for trespassing and harassment. I say yes, without hesitation. Through the window, I can see Jessica being escorted to the police car, still yelling about how I'm the real criminal. The officer takes my statement and tells me they'll be in touch about a court date if I decide to pursue charges. After they leave with Jessica, I sit next to Liam on the couch and hold him while he cries. Is Jessica going to jail? He asks between sobs. I don't know, buddy, but she's not allowed to come here anymore. My phone buzzes with a text from my sister, Asterisk. Have you seen the Facebook group Jessica started? It's called Justice for Liam, and she's posting horrible things about you, Asterisk. My stomach drops. I open Facebook and search for the group. There it is, already with 47 members, most of them extended family and mutual friends. Jessica has posted dozens of times in the last 24 hours, each post more unhinged than the last. Asterisk. She's medicating him unnecessarily. Asterisk. Asterisk. She's isolating him from family who care about him. Asterisk. Asterisk. She called the police on me when I tried to check on my nephew's welfare. Asterisk. Comments from relatives I haven't spoken to in years fill the page. Asterisk. I always thought something was off about how she parents him. Asterisk. Asterisk. Someone should report her to authorities. Asterisk. Asterisk. Poor Liam deserves better than this. Asterisk. My phone rings. It's Mark. I'm so sorry about Jessica showing up at your house, he says immediately. I tried to stop her, but she took the car while I was at work. Mark, have you seen this Facebook group? He sighs heavily. Yes, I've reported it to Facebook 3 times, but they say it doesn't violate their community standards. Half my family thinks I'm abusing my son now. Listen, Mark says, his voice dropping. I need to warn you about something. Jessica's been talking about trying to pick Liam up from school. She's convinced herself that if she can get him alone, she can get him to tell the truth about how you treat him. My blood runs cold. What? I've hidden the car keys, but just be careful. Call his school. Make sure they know not to release him to anyone but you. I thank Mark and immediately call Liam's school to update his pickup authorization list, explicitly stating that under no circumstances is Jessica to have any contact with him. The next morning, I get a call from the school secretary. Mrs. Patterson, there was a woman here claiming to be Liam's aunt. She said you had asked her to pick him up for a doctor's appointment. My heart nearly stops. Was it Jessica? She didn't give her name, but when we told her she wasn't on the authorization list, she became very agitated. Security had to escort her from the building. That night, after finally getting Liam to sleep, it took 3 bedtime stories and his weighted blanket, I hear a strange scraping sound outside. I check our security camera feed on my phone and see Jessica crouched by my car, something glinting in her hand. I watch in disbelief as she drags a key along the driver's side door, carving deep scratches into the paint. Then she pulls out a marker and writes "child abuser" across my windshield in huge letters. I call the police again, but by the time they arrive, she's gone. They take pictures of the damage and add it to my growing case file. The next day, we see Liam's therapist, Dr. Chen. She documents his regression, the nightmares, the return of stimming behaviors we hadn't seen in months, his fear of going to school. This ongoing harassment is causing significant trauma, she writes in her report. Liam's progress has been severely impacted by these events. Armed with Dr. Chen's report, the police reports, screenshots of the Facebook group, and videos of Jessica's behavior, I meet with my lawyer. He helps me file for an emergency restraining order. The judge reviews our evidence and grants the order immediately. Jessica is legally prohibited from coming within 500 feet of our home, Liam's school, or my workplace. She cannot contact us by phone, email, social media, or through third parties. The sheriff serves Jessica with the restraining order that afternoon. At 2 a.m., my phone rings. It's Mark. She's gone, he says, his voice shaking. She took the car and left right after getting served. I don't know where she is, but she was furious about the restraining order. I check our security cameras immediately. Nothing unusual outside. I double-check all the locks and set the alarm system. Just as I'm about to try going back to sleep, I hear a crash from the backyard. On the security feed, I see Jessica throwing rocks at Liam's bedroom window. I know what you're doing to him, she screams into the night. You can't silence me with your legal tricks. I call 911 as Liam appears in my doorway, trembling and confused. Mom, is Jessica trying to break in? I pull him close, shielding him from the window. No, honey, the police are coming. She can't hurt us. Within minutes, police cars arrive with lights flashing. They find Jessica in our backyard, still screaming incoherently about saving Liam from me. As they handcuff her and read her rights, I hold Liam and watch through the window. Less than 24 hours after being served with a restraining order, Jessica has violated it in the most dramatic way possible. I don't feel triumphant as I watch her being placed in the police car. I just feel exhausted and sad for Liam, who's witnessing a level of adult dysfunction no child should ever have to see. Is it over now? He asks quietly. I wish I could tell him yes, but I know better. Not yet, buddy, but we're getting there. The courtroom is eerily quiet as we wait for the judge to enter. I'm sitting next to my lawyer, Michael, trying to keep my hands from visibly shaking. Liam is with my mother today. There was no way I was bringing him anywhere near this. Jessica sits at the defendant's table across the aisle, whispering furiously to her court-appointed attorney. She refused to look at me when I walked in, but I can feel her hatred radiating across the room like heat from a furnace. Mark sits in the row behind me, his face drawn and exhausted. He texted this morning to say he'd be testifying about Jessica's behavior. It's time someone stopped her, his message said. The bailiff calls for us to rise as Judge Carmichael enters. She's a stern-looking woman in her 60s, with sharp eyes that seem to take in everything at once. As she reviews the case file, her eyebrows rise slightly. This is a hearing regarding the violation of a restraining order, she states, looking over her glasses at Jessica. But I see there's quite a bit more to this situation. My lawyer stands. Your Honor, if I may, this restraining order violation is just the latest incident in a pattern of escalating harassment against my client and her son. Jessica's attorney jumps up. Your Honor, my client was simply concerned about the welfare of her young relative. This has been blown completely out of proportion. Judge Carmichael holds up her hand. I'll be the judge of that, counselor. The room falls silent again. Let's begin with the evidence regarding the restraining order violation. Our security footage plays on the courtroom monitor. There's Jessica throwing rocks at Liam's window at 2 a.m., screaming accusations. Even with the grainy nighttime quality, there's no mistaking her rage or the violence of her actions. Jessica shifts in her seat as the footage plays, her face flushing red. Her attorney looks increasingly uncomfortable. My lawyer methodically presents the timeline: the party incident, the false CPS report, Jessica showing up at our house, the Facebook group, the school incident, the car vandalism, and finally, the restraining order violation. Your Honor, he says, we have reason to believe this is part of a larger pattern of behavior. With the court's permission, I'd like to call several witnesses who can speak to Miss Peterson's history of similar actions against other families. Jessica's head snaps up. They're all lying, she blurts out. She's turned everyone against me. Miss Peterson, you will have your chance to speak, Judge Carmichael warns. Another outburst like that and I'll hold you in contempt. The first witness is a woman I've never met before. She introduces herself as Amanda Reeves, a mother from Jessica's neighborhood. Miss Reeves, can you tell the court about your experience with the defendant? My lawyer asks. Amanda nods. 2 years ago, Jessica reported me to CPS claiming I was medically neglecting my daughter who has type 1 diabetes. She told them I was refusing to give her insulin and feeding her a dangerous diet. And was there any truth to these allegations? None whatsoever. My daughter's endocrinologist had to provide extensive documentation, proving she was receiving appropriate care. The investigation was closed as unfounded, but not before my children were terrified and my reputation in the community was damaged. 2 more families testify with similar stories. One was accused of educational neglect for homeschooling their son. Another was reported for emotional abuse after setting boundaries with their teenage daughter. With each testimony, Jessica becomes more agitated, whispering frantically to her attorney and shaking her head. Then Mark takes the stand. Jessica goes completely still as her husband is sworn in. Mr. Peterson, can you describe your wife's behavior in recent years? My lawyer asks. Mark takes a deep breath. Jessica has always been controlling, but over the past few years, it's gotten worse. Becomes fixated on how other parents raise their children, especially if they do things differently than she would. It's not big deal. Has she discussed these concerns with you? Constantly. She'll come home from a school event or a playdate and spend hours ranting about how some mother is damaging her child by being too permissive or using the wrong discipline methods. Then she'll start monitoring that family, watching their social media, driving by their house. And what about her attitude toward my client and her son specifically? Mark looks at me apologetically. She's been obsessed with them for years. She believes Liam's autism is somehow made up or exaggerated. She thinks my cousin is using his diagnosis to get special treatment or attention. The judge interrupts. Mr. Peterson, do you have any professional training in childhood development or autism spectrum disorders? No, Your Honor. And to your knowledge, does your wife? No, she thinks she knows better than everyone, including doctors. When it's Jessica's turn to testify, she's trembling visibly. Her attorney tries to guide her through prepared responses, but she keeps going off script. They're all conspiring against me. She insists, voice rising. I was just trying to protect Liam from her manipulation. She's turned my own husband against me. She's turned everyone against me. Miss Peterson, the judge says firmly, the evidence presented today suggests a disturbing pattern of behavior on your part. It's all lies. Jessica stands up, ignoring her attorney's attempt to pull her back down. Ask her about the medications she gives Liam. Ask her about how she isolates him from normal children. She's the one who should be investigated. And the judge bangs her gavel. Miss Peterson, control yourself or I will have you removed. During cross-examination, my lawyer asks calmly, have you ever been treated for any psychiatric conditions, Miss Peterson? Jessica's face goes pale. That's private medical information. Actually, my lawyer continues, we have a subpoena for your medical records, which the court has already approved given the nature of this case. He hands a folder to the judge, who reviews it silently. Miss Peterson, the judge says after a moment, it says here you were diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder 3 years ago, but discontinued treatment against medical advice after 2 sessions. Is that correct? The courtroom seems to hold its breath. Jessica's eyes dart around wildly. They didn't understand me, she whispers. The therapist was just like everyone else, trying to control me, trying to make me think I was the problem, as they didn't. The judge sighs deeply. I've heard enough. Based on the evidence presented today, I'm not only upholding the restraining order, but expanding it to include all forms of contact, direct or indirect. Additionally, I'm ordering a comprehensive psychological evaluation before sentencing on the restraining order violation. Jessica stands up again, her face contorted. You can't do this to me. I'm the only one trying to protect that child. Why can't anyone see what she's doing to him? Bailiff, the judge calls calmly. As the bailiff approaches, Jessica's composure completely shatters. She's poisoning him with those medications. She's making him act autistic for attention. I'm the only one who sees the truth. She's still screaming as they escort her from the courtroom, her voice echoing down the hallway long after she's out of sight. In the sudden silence that follows, I feel tears streaming down my face. Not tears of relief or vindication, but of profound sadness for Liam, for Mark, for Jessica herself, and for all the damage that can never be undone. Mark approaches me outside the courtroom. I'm so sorry, he says quietly. I should have done something sooner. I nod, unable to find words. What do you say to someone whose world is collapsing alongside your own? Will Liam be okay? He asks. Eventually, I tell him, hoping it's true. He's stronger than anyone gives him credit for. Not a sight of peoples, as called a many video, as a sight of people as call includin', and include a sin to get them. As I walk to my car, my phone buzzes with a text from my mother. Asterisk, Liam wants to know if the bad lady is gone now. Asterisk. I type back, asterisk, yes, she can't hurt us anymore, asterisk. But as I start the engine, I know the road to healing is just beginning. The courtroom confrontation might be over, but the real work of helping Liam recover from this trauma lies ahead. And somewhere beneath my exhaustion and relief, I feel something unexpected. Hope. For the first time in months, we can begin to rebuild our lives without looking over our shoulders. The doctor's words hang in the air between us. Narcissistic personality disorder with paranoid features. I'm sitting in a small conference room at the courthouse with my lawyer Michael and Dr. Levine, the court-appointed psychiatrist who evaluated Jessica after her courtroom breakdown. The evaluation results were supposed to be confidential, but the judge ordered them shared with all parties before sentencing. In layman's terms, Dr. Levine continues, flipping through her notes, Miss Peterson exhibits a profound lack of empathy, an excessive need for admiration, and a pattern of manipulative behaviors. She genuinely believes she is superior to others, particularly in matters of parenting. Michael leans forward, and her fixation on my client's son, Miss Peterson has constructed an elaborate narrative where she alone can see the truth about Liam's condition. When reality contradicts this narrative, like when professionals confirm his autism diagnosis, she doesn't adjust her beliefs. Instead, she assumes everyone else is either deceived or part of a conspiracy against her. I stare at my hands trying to process this information. Can she get better? Dr. Levine's expression softens slightly. NPD is notoriously difficult to treat, primarily because individuals rarely recognize they have a problem. However, when treatment is court-mandated and consistently applied, we do see improvements in behavior management. 2 hours later, we're back in the courtroom. Jessica looks different today, subdued, almost deflated. The manic energy that characterized her previous appearance is gone, replaced by a hollow-eyed stare that barely acknowledges anyone around her. Judge Carmichael reviews the psychiatric evaluation before addressing the court. Based on Dr. Levine's findings and the evidence presented, I'm issuing the following orders. She turns to Jessica. Miss Peterson, you are sentenced to 2 years probation for violating the restraining order. As conditions of your probation, you will attend weekly therapy sessions and comply with all medication recommendations from your psychiatric team. Jessica doesn't react visibly, just continues staring at some fixed point on the wall. Additionally, the judge continues, I am making the temporary restraining order permanent. You are to have no contact whatsoever with Liam Patterson or his mother, either directly or through third parties, for a period of 5 years, after which the order may be reviewed. Only then does Jessica show any reaction, a slight flinch, as if the permanence of the separation has finally penetrated her consciousness. Outside the courthouse, Mark approaches me with cautious steps. I filed for divorce yesterday, he says quietly, and I'm seeking full custody of our children. I nod, unsure what to say. His life has been upended as much as ours, though in different ways. I should have seen it sooner, he continues, running a hand through his hair. The way she obsessed over other parents, the constant need to prove she was better than everyone else. I just thought she was passionate about parenting. We all missed it, I tell him, meaning it. She was good at hiding the worst parts from most people. Not from Liam, though, Mark says. He always seemed uncomfortable around her, even before all this. Kids have better instincts than we do sometimes. That night, I sit on Liam's bed during our nightly routine, watching as he arranges his stuffed animals in their precise order. His therapist says maintaining these small rituals helps him feel secure when other parts of his life have been chaotic. Mom? He asks, carefully adjusting his favorite penguin. Is Jessica sick in her brain? I pause, considering how to explain mental illness to a 9-year-old. Yes, in a way. She has something called a personality disorder that makes it hard for her to understand other people's feelings or accept when she's wrong. Like how I sometimes can't understand facial expressions. My heart swells at his attempt to find common ground. A little bit, but different too. You work really hard to understand others, even when it's difficult. Jessica doesn't try to understand. She just believes everyone else is wrong. Is she going to get medicine like I do? Yes, and she'll talk to doctors who will try to help her. He nods, seemingly satisfied with this explanation. Good. I don't want her to be mean to other kids like me. 3 weeks later, we're packing boxes in Liam's room. After everything that happened, staying in the same house where Jessica had terrorized us felt impossible. Each time Liam looked at his bedroom window, I could see him remembering the night she threw rocks at it, screaming accusations. Our new house is 15 minutes away, in a gated community with security cameras at every entrance. It's probably overkill with Jessica under court supervision, but the extra security helps Liam sleep better at night, and that's worth every penny. Do you think I'll make friends at the new school? Liam asks, carefully wrapping his rock collection in tissue paper. I think you will, I tell him. And guess what? The principal already has experience with students on the autism spectrum. She helped design a quiet room where kids can go when they need a break from noise and stimulation. His eyes widen, like what Jessica wouldn't let me have at the party. Exactly, and your new teacher is going to know exactly how to help you when things get overwhelming. The school has been incredible throughout this process. After hearing about what happened at the restaurant and Jessica's attempt to pick Liam up, they've implemented stricter verification procedures for all student pickups. Every authorized adult now needs a photo ID and a special code that changes weekly. As we settle into our new home, unexpected messages start arriving. First from my Aunt Claire, then cousin Robert, then several other family members who'd initially believed Jessica's lies. Asterisk, I'm so sorry I didn't call you directly to hear your side. Jessica was so convincing and I just assumed. Well, there's no excuse. I hope someday you can forgive me. Asterisk. Some apologies I accept graciously. Others from those who'd been particularly vicious in the Facebook group I acknowledge with polite distance. Forgiveness may come eventually, but trust takes longer to rebuild. The most surprising development comes 3 months after the court hearing. Mark calls to tell me Jessica has been consistently attending therapy and taking her medication. The psychiatrist says she's actually engaged in the process, he says, sounding cautiously optimistic. It's early, but there are signs she's starting to recognize her behavior patterns. That's good, I reply, meaning it despite everything. For your kid's sake, I hope she continues improving. 6 months after moving, we host an autism awareness event at the local community center. What started as a small gathering grows into something much larger when several families from Liam's support group get involved. There are information booths, sensory-friendly activities, and a panel discussion featuring adults on the spectrum sharing their experiences. Liam surprises me by asking to say a few words. He stands at the microphone, fidgeting slightly with the hem of his shirt, and speaks with clear determination. Sometimes people think autism means something is wrong with you, but my brain just works differently, not wrongly. When people understand that, they can help instead of hurt. There's not a dry eye in the room when he finishes. Even the local newspaper reporter discreetly wipes away tears before asking to interview him. 1 year after Jessica's courtroom breakdown, Liam and I sit in our backyard garden, watching butterflies land on the plants we've grown together, a therapeutic activity his new occupational therapist suggested. Mom, he says, carefully sketching a monarch in his nature journal. I don't feel scared anymore. I look at my son, this brilliant, resilient boy who weathered a storm that would have broken many adults. He's thriving in his new school, has made 2 close friends who accept him completely, and recently joined a coding club where his pattern recognition skills shine. I'm not scared anymore either, I tell him, and realize it's true. The path to healing wasn't quick or easy. There were nightmares, therapy sessions where we both cried, moments when the smallest reminder of Jessica would trigger Liam's anxiety. But gradually, those moments became less frequent, less intense. What Jessica never understood, what she couldn't understand through the distorted lens of her disorder, was that Liam's autism isn't something to fix or hide or punish. It's simply part of who he is, a thoughtful, perceptive child with unique challenges and extraordinary gifts. As I watch him meticulously shade the butterfly's wings, his face serene with concentration, I know we've finally found our way through the darkness into something better than before.